Hi, I'm Eric.
And I'm Dick. We are the Annuity Guys.
Dick, we want to look at the 7 ways that you can use annuities in estate planning.
Well, you know, Eric, the crazy thing about annuities and estate planning is that's one of the areas they get picked on all the time.
They're not good for estate planning. They're good for your being alive, not for not being alive.
Well, I've heard the saying before, and I've even seen the title on articles, never die with an annuity. Don't do this disservice to your children, and it's obviously folks who either don't understand annuities, they just have a bias against them.
Those people.
Or they're just going to use them improperly.
Right.
So I think that we can dispel a lot of those myths and give annuities a fair shake.
Some of the things they do well is part of estate planning.
Correct, exactly. Because I wouldn't say that an annuity, in every way is an estate planning tool. But used properly, it really can be.
Right. It's at least not a detriment. So when you can use them properly, for instance, to avoid probate.
Yes.
You have the beneficiary forms that you fill out
Correct.
with annuities, just like IRAs for the most part.
Right.
So you can pass dollars from one entity to the other.
Exactly. It goes around probate.
So
it trumps the will. That's something folks need to understand is that anytime you have a beneficiary form, and that's the way annuities work,
right.
It always trumps the will. So if you really want money to go directly to whoever you want it to go to, you don't necessarily want anybody else looking at it, so the judge or whoever. The insurance company on an annuity will get the money directly to the beneficiary.
Right. So it doesn't have to go through any kind of public disclosure.
Exactly.
No delays in waiting for things to get
Right.
published. So it can go right to the person that you want the dollars to go to.
Well, that is a big deal, to some folks from the standpoint they really don't want someone to know how much money is going to a certain person, this type of thing. So it does keep it out of that. How about charitable gift annuities?
Oh my gosh, now the charities love these things.
Oh, yes,
right?
they do.
Because basically it allows you to create an annuity, which creates an
Right.
income stream for you,
Right.
but allows dollars to go to the charity when there's, I guess, excess kind of tax savings.
Exactly. And the way that's typically set up, it can either use a commercial annuity or the charitable organization, especially if it's a fraternal organization, can use
Right.
Their own status to pay the annuity out. We tend to like the idea of a commercial grade annuity.
Right, because we're not, well, we're a little biased, but
the beauty of a commercial grade annuity is that it has the guarantee association behind it, and it's more heavily regulated. And you're just more likely, to get your money because some charities, when you go back, when we went through the Great Recession, there was a lot of charities that a good percentage that actually had some tough times.
Right.
And so depending on how tough those times are, they may have to cut back on their ability to pay their guarantees.
Obviously, the size of the organization comes into play as well, and knowing the financials of the charity, which you never really think about as far because you don't have the same type of ratings and disclosure that go along with most commercial grade annuities.
So kind of in summary on the charitable type annuities, the person that's doing this typically gives their assets to a charity. As long as they're living, they get a lifetime of income, and whatever is left when they pass goes on to the charity. And there are some tax deductions along the way, but really advise folks setting that up with a good attorney and looking at the organization, and if at all possible, there's you can't really have a lot of say in it. But you really don't have to give your money unless you know that they're going to use a commercial grade annuity, and I think folks would be well advised to at least look into that. So.
The other aspect of annuities that I think is probably one of the most powerful ones is the death benefit guarantees.
Yes.
There are the ability to add riders to provide a couple of things, usually a kind of a minimum rate of return type of feature towards a future death benefit.
Right.
And there's the ability, of course, then to for those people that are uninsurable, to use an annuity to be able to pass assets that might be larger than just leaving them in the cash situation.
Correct. And you mentioned the minimum guarantees, but we've seen in the past and occasionally still see, annuities that give a very generous death benefit guarantee. I mean, I remember at one point we had an 8% death benefit guarantee, compound interest. And there's still annuities today that will give you a certain minimum guarantee, and anything earned above that stacks right on top of it. And it puts you in a pretty good position to say that my heirs are likely to get a minimum of 3 or 4%.
Exactly.
And more likely to get 5 or 6, 7, and that's safe money.
Right. And be able to pass, just as we've talked, from one to use the beneficiary form. So,
and I should say safe money. It's safer than most things out there.
Right.
There's nothing that's 100% safe. We're supposed to think that banks are, but
federal government. The federal government. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, another thing that we want to talk about here, and you can expound maybe a little bit on the non-qualified annuities, but on the qualified annuities, a lot of folks like the idea of being able to pass that annuity on and stretch it out to their heirs. And folks, a lot of times, what we see is that someone has a pretty good pension, Social Security, everything kind of going their way, and they've got this asset they've saved. And what they like is the idea of maybe being able to pass that on to their children and give them a head start towards setting up their own retirement. And that's where stretching the IRA
without
really come in.
And obviously we're talking about not taking the IRA as a distribution and having it be fully taxable.
Right.
What we're doing is we're really kicking the tax bucket down the road, really, and allowing the person who's inheriting the IRA to use their life expectancy to pay out those distributions or collect income from them.
Exactly.
So the feature there is really stretching it from your lifetime, which might be a little bit shorter, to the lifetime of somebody that can be considerably younger. I mean, you're talking about even kids and grandkids even. So.
Right. And how about, we mentioned the IRA, the qualified.
Right.
But there's some companies that will actually allow a non-qualified
to
be stretched.
Now, that's unique. It's not every company that's out there. So you have to know if your carrier is one of those that allows that. But if you're thinking about, an IRA or annuity, rather, has a similar, tax deferral aspect in the sense of you're not paying tax while it's growing its deferral. Well, guess what? Rather than having to take the lump sum at the time somebody passes, some annuity companies allow that same tax deferral to be passed on, again, using that same kind of IRS code to pass to the next generation and stretch the payments out over the life expectancy of the inheritor.
Well, and I should also add to this that other than annuity companies, there's not very many companies that are really set up to stretch IRAs. It's the uniqueness of the way an insurance company is designed that they kind of have this inherently built in so that they can stretch these products.
It's kind of like an estate planning tool.
Wow! When you think about it. The next thing that is possible is disclaiming.
What? Why would you want to disclaim? Disclaim.
It sounds like disowning. Like you want to disown your kids, folks.
Well, in many ways, it kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but the kids get to make the choice,
right?
If they want to disclaim.
Well, and there's a benefit to doing that because it's having the two stages. It's the named beneficiaries, not just the beneficiary, but the contingent beneficiaries usually who take the place of the kids. So if you wanted dollars to go to the grandkids, perhaps.
But maybe you weren't sure if they'd be ready for them?
So the kids, well, maybe they'd be their first in line, but there's going to be a bigger taxable consequence.
Right.
If the kids get them, well, the kids can elect to basically say, I pass.
Yes.
And the dollars then filter onto the other named beneficiaries, which could be the grandkids.
Right. So the primary beneficiary disclaims it. It drops down to the next generation, whoever's on there as the contingent. And it gives the parents a chance to really look at the children and say, you know what, they're ready for this. They're at an age, they're responsible. Or if they're not, the parents can keep the money and take a trip.
And of course, the key feature there is you have to have the kids listed on as beneficiaries.
Exactly.
You can't just disclaim and have it go to the kids if they're not listed as contingent beneficiaries on the form.
Right. The next aspect, Eric, that we want to talk about, and this is really probably my favorite, part. Free, anything free.
Yeah.
But to get tax-free income, which isn't really an estate advantage as much as to pass tax-free money on to the heirs. And you simply do that by turning the annuity into a Roth.
Yeah. So you take Roth dollars, and you're putting them in the annuity?
Well, you can do it both ways. You can actually convert the annuity to a Roth as you own the annuity.
So it was an IRA.
Yes.
And now I can do a Roth conversion?
Yeah, you can actually move it over as an IRA and then start your Roth conversion. Or you can actually do your Roth conversion outside of the annuity.
Pay your tax outside the annuity.
Exactly, and then move it in. So either way, you're going to have to pay your tax to Uncle Sam. And, some ways, if you set it up right, you can actually get a nice bonus on the annuity and not pay any tax on the bonus. So that's a plus right up front.
So that's how you get tax-free dollars with the annuity.
Yes, exactly.
So, and one of the things that we talk about kind of sometimes with structuring to pass dollars to the next generation, and then if we're looking at estate taxes, obviously I think the estate tax level right now, $5.5 million. So it's
right.
a pretty considerable number out there.
Right.
But if you've got more assets than that, one of the ways, of course, of passing wealth to the next generation outside of that estate, you're looking at life insurance.
Yes.
So if you take some of your existing dollars, convert them into, say, an annuity that pays a life insurance policy.
Right.
You can move dollars from one taxable element to an area where it might set outside.
Well, and you're right. For folks with higher net worth, this can really work well to move large sums of money.
Right.
But even folks that don't have large net worth, you can leverage the money that you have into a much larger tax-free amount of money that's going to go on to your heirs and be guaranteed that the money is going to get to the heirs because you're funding it with an annuity.
Right. So you're taking a lifetime income stream typically, maybe with some other guarantees, and using those dollars to each month pay a premium for a life insurance policy.
Exactly. It's under the life insurance under the IRC 7702 code. It is a wonderful wealth transfer vehicle if you really understand how to use it. To get tax-free money over to your heirs. And nowadays, Eric, one thing that I kind of like, and it's a little aside from estate planning, is a lot of this can be used for nursing home for long-term care. Yeah. And that's a great advantage.
Yeah, that's another estate planning feature that you're taking advantage of a lot of the, I'm going to use the term hybrid life policies that have those long-term care provisions within them to really take advantage of taking care of those last few years.
Well, imagine this. We've come up with 7 ways that an annuity is a great estate transfer tool.